Hello. Hello, 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 hello. How are you? I'm in a spooky area. Just kidding. It's a sound effect. Um, hello? Okay. Wow. We have so much to go through. It sounds like I'm within a church. It's because I am. Just kidding. Okay, I need to get so I'm not even gonna get okay. Bleh. Let's go back to the other one. Mm. Hello, how does this sound? Is this better? Okay. Hello, and welcome to episode 4 of Eudaimonia or Bust. The election is coming up fairly soon. It is, let's see, how many days away is it? It is exactly 20, it is exactly 20 days before the United States presidential election of 2024. And there is a lot to unpack. But I'm not necessarily a political podcast, so I'm not gonna go too deep into that, at least not in this episode. Um, because like this is gonna be a shit show that we're all gonna live through, you know? So yeah. I am, however, very curious because I have seen I guess I'm pretty late to the club. Apparently it looks like this is like a 2021 quiz. But it is called the political type It's called the political typology quiz. Where do you fit in the political typology? Are you a faith and flag conservative, progressive left, or someone in between? And this I am very interested in. Because I feel like I have a hard time directly identifying with like a certain party. Um, because I don't you'll see. Well, you'll come to learn about me and yeah, you'll come to learn about me. Whoop. This says this quiz has 9 political typology groups, and it will find our best match. It is a nationally representative survey of more than 10,000 U.S. adults by Pew Research Center. You may find some of these questions are difficult to answer. That's okay. In those cases, pick the answer that comes closest to your view, even if it isn't exactly right. Um, I'm interested to get into this, and I am excited. I am also doing a little bit of a different setting today. I'm just gonna be taking this quiz today. Well, you know what? We'll see what happens. I'm not gonna tie myself down to any particular bounds. Um, oh, okay. Before I forget, let's do the who I want to be today. Um, Recently, I have been obsessed with not only her music, but also just her uh entire presence. Sabrina Carpenter. Oh my God. I big fan. Like, I really like her. I'm not necessarily gonna be talking too much about like music right now. Or if I do, it's gonna at least be after this because I wanted to go on and do this quiz before the election happened, so I could have this episode up for people to watch in November. Or listen, I suppose. You're probably not really watching anything. You're watching my little animation of my title, maybe, particularly. Maybe. Or maybe you've caught on to the jackalope. Who knows? Gonna make sure I'm still recording. Yeah, cool. See, I'm just a little afraid because I am recording differently than I normally do. I'm trying out some different things, and I already have said that it doesn't fucking matter. Um, so yeah. Hmm. I'll be real with you. I don't know really what I would consider myself. I guess if I had to throw something out, probably a socialist. I think um and that is something that I do want to get more into. So, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I have no idea what any of the like answers you can get to this, what the different nine political things are. I have somewhat like of an idea. I'm definitely not a faith and flag conservative. Um, Maybe progressive left. Uh, I think socialism is a good word I would identify with. I suppose I kind of I think I don't know, and that's what we're going to figure out today is you're going to help me because I've always been very passionate about politics and I've always been outspoken about my opinions on it. And as I get older and get more into my community and like my local community, it shows like I'm seeing how much of an impact things like this can happen. And it makes me like want to do something to change it, you know? So I don't know if I necessarily would ever like run for political office or anything. But I would like to try and get involved someday in something just because I feel like getting into politics opens up a pathway to like change to for change is ultimately is what I want it to be. Not necessarily just like going into politics because I want to be a politic. I'm not going into politics because I want to be a politician, but I genuinely need resources to like figure out how the fuck we can get our shit together and how I can help because I feel like I'm probably going to just be looked at super radical. Um honestly, I am a kind of I don't give a fuck person and we're gonna see. You are gonna learn in the answers who I am. Um, and we will discuss as we go along. I'm excited because maybe now I'll have a better identification word for what I evidently have in the political typology. Start quiz. Question 1 of 16. If you had to choose, If you had to choose, would you rather have a smaller government providing fewer services or a bigger government providing more services? More services. When you say you favor a bigger government providing more services, do you think it would be better to modestly expand on current government services or greatly expand on current government services? Um, Probably greatly. There's a lot that could be done. I think anyway. Which of the following statements come closest to your view? America's openness to people from all over the world is essential to who we are as a nation. America is too open for people all over the I'm not even gonna no. The we risk losing our identity as a nation. I think you're just racist, but go on. Um no, I think that being open to people all over the world to come here is the core of what this country was like supposed to be built on. And I don't know if you guys just like didn't do any like fucking history or anything growing up or like look more into that kind of stuff. I know that it was funneled into me for sure. So I have a lot of opinions about different things like that, but that is one thing like I am definitely like it pisses me off when people are just like against immigration and like we I could go down a whole rabbit hole, girl. Um like if someone's going somewhere because they're trying to get out of like a shitty circumstance, like why the fuck would I care? What is that going to do to me? Like I think people are just afraid of different people is what it is when it's a lot of division, I think. And a lot of nationalism would be a good word. So, no, I do not believe we would risk losing our identity as a nation because America is supposed to be a mixing pot of different cultures. They- In general, would you say experts who study for a subject for many years are okay? There's three answers to this one. Okay, I am gonna reread the question just because I think I know what this is in reference to, and it's Wilden. Question 3 of 16. Excuse me. In general, would you say experts who study a subject for many years are A, usually better at making good policy decisions about that subject than other people? B, usually worse at making good policy decisions about that subject than other people? Or C, neither better nor worse? I would say if someone studies a subject for a particular amount of time, they obviously have dedicated more of their like lifestyle towards that exact cause. So I would say that they are usually better about making policy decisions. Um, that's crazy though. That do people just not? Because if you care about a subject or something, it just it's insane to me how people aren't curious, I guess. I have so many fucking questions about everything. Um, and the more I learn about something, the more I want to dive deeper into it. So I would say that, you know, with in this context, an academic setting of studying a subject, absolutely, yes. Like they are better. They know this it's their shit that they've like focused on nonstop, you know? Question 4 of 16. Thinking about increased trades and goods. Question 4 of 16. Thinking about increased trade of goods and services between the US and other nations in recent decades, would you say that the US has A, gained more than it has lost because increased trade has helped lower prices and increase the competitiveness of some US businesses? Or B, lost more than it gained because increased trade has cost jobs in manufacturing and other industries and lower wages for some US workers. I would say um that it's a good thing. Like I would say that the US has gained more than it has lost in an increase when it comes to the increasing of goods and services kind of thing. We can only benefit from other people and other people's experiences and knowledge. And I just don't get the whole like, why the fuck do you care what someone else's? I don't even know, man. I just like, why would you want to? I don't even know. I don't, yeah. I wish I could say more on that, but I necessarily don't know. I'm not as educated on this topic as I would like to be, but I would say like having a general bigger perspective of including everyone from around the world cuz fuck it, like we're all on the same planet, you know. Let's not make it like a country thing. Like we're all human beings. How much more, if any, needs to be done to ensure equal rights for all Americans, regardless of their racial or ethnic backgrounds? Probably a lot. Yeah, a lot. When it comes closer to your view about what needs to be done to ensure equal rights for all Americans, regardless of their racial or ethnic background, even if neither is exactly right. Okay, there's two statements. Which one do I agree with, basically? A, most US laws and major institutions need to be completely rebuilt because they are fundamentally biased against some racial and ethnic groups. Or B, while there are inequities and US laws and institutions, necessary changes can be made by working within the current systems. Um, no, abolish the I would say abolish the institutions and completely rebuild. But um see, that's a really interesting one because I feel like this is also something more that I would want to look into. But I feel like some things, I feel like we are always going to be bound by the current systems we are working with now. Um, so realistically, I don't know if that could be a thing, where, they rebuild complete institutions, but in an ideal world, that would be nice because then they wouldn't be biased anymore and they wouldn't be like racist pieces of shit. 6. Question 6. Which of the following statements comes closest to your view? A. Business corporations make too much money. Or B. Most corporations make a fair and reasonable amount of profit. My answer is totally fucking A. As a corporate spawn, companies are making too much fucking money. Like the amount that the top earners get in these corporations compared to like the lowest wage they pay their workers is fucking insane. Business corporations make too much profit, for sure. If at all, would it bother you to hear question 7 of 16? If How much, if at all, would it bother you to regularly hear people speak another language other than English in public places in your community? Not at all. Why the fuck would I care? What the fuck? Why are y'all just racist? Why would it? Okay, this is something I do want to say. Recently, I had an experience where someone told me that they were having a hard time understanding someone who English was not their first language, but their English was like amazing. And there's just all it is an accent, even. It's like, and this bitch literally was like blaming, instead of doing the research and like doing the coursework and trying to understand the content, which is extremely easy and basic content in this setting that I was in. I think anyway. That is probably their second language. And if they have a second language, that's one more language than I know, bitch. They can talk in both of them if they want. They can talk in literally that if they want to talk to me, then they can. You like I'm sure they have a way to figure it out. So why would it bother me to hear people around me hear speaking in different languages and shit? Because I try not to get into anyone's business anyway. And like I don't know, man. I think if that bothers you, I think you are the ignorant one. You shouldn't be offended by difference. I think that if hearing people regularly speak in other languages in your community is something that genuinely is upsetting to you, I think maybe we should unpack that a little bit and we should look at why that's is it because you can't understand them? You don't know what they're saying? So, like, it's just ignorance is what it is. And not having the ability to be open to like different people. Just fucking let people live and exist in the way that they're living and existing without making it harder for them than it already fucking is. Ooh, we're only 7 questions in and I'm already slightly heated. It's okay. I have a fix for that. I live in Illinois. And you know what Illinois has? Legal cannabis. Sorry, wait. Let me say that in the church pew. You know what Illinois has? Legal cannabis. Which, real quick, I wanted to say I'm going to a festival this weekend. It's literally my favorite fucking festival that happens every year. It's in a little witch town in southern Illinois, and it is fucking awesome. And there's a fuck ton of weed. So it's really fun, and it's just really pretty over there. And I'm so excited. I haven't checked the weather for it yet. But I do need to turn off this voice effect so we can get back into question 8 of the thing that we're already doing. But am very excited. It's called Vulture Fest. And yes, I am talking about vultures, like the bird, the vulture. Back to the boring status quo. All right, but we got to go on to our question 8 of 16. On a scale of 0 to 100, where 0 means you feel as cold and as negative as possible, and 100 means you feel as warm and positive as possible, how do I feel towards Democrats and Republicans? Okay, let's see. I try not to look at people and figure out immediately what they are, if they're on the left or the right, if they're a Republican or a Democrat, because I usually am kind of just going with like the interactions I'm having in that moment with that person. And if any point after that I hear any more information, or maybe we talk and we get into it about political views or something, I don't think I try not to be cold to people. And I don't necessarily feel as comfortable around a lot of Republicans than I do people who are obviously like Democrats. But I think that's just because there is a little bit of resentment for the perspectives and views. I just I'm gonna say I am 100% warm. Well, okay, first of all, I like I said, regardless, I try to treat everyone I meet the same. But if I do know like beforehand or something, if I'm going to like a Democratic thing or like God forbid something Republican, as you can see my attitude right now, like obviously I'm more in favor and more comfortable around Democrats. So I am gonna say 100 around Democrats. That doesn't mean I'm comfortable around people anyway. I'm kind of not comfortable around people in general. I just kind of wing it and go as I can. But also I try and live in the moment and like I don't know, man. I am going to put 90 towards Republicans because I never will actively like this bitch the other day. Well, not the other day. This is probably like more like a couple years ago. Like there's this bitch that always wore like a pro-life shirt and had like Trump as like her fucking background and shit on like her laptop and everything. And even though I like wanted to laugh at that, I still treated her with kindness because what good is it for me to be hateful to her just because of that? Like, yeah, she is doing that, and a lot of other people are doing that too. But maybe if I can be kind to her and show her some kind of like a different perspective, maybe there's a chance for change because I believe that everyone can get more educated on topics that they don't know about. And I think that the more people understand things and the more empathetic they are, the more people realize that people aren't all that different. And once you start making it a my party versus your party, it's just dividing people. But like I said, because I do have like that little negative connotation towards Republicans, I'm still gonna be kind to them. So I'll say 90. But just in general, how do I feel towards Democrats and Republicans and people in general, just anyone alive? Probably like 10. Because I don't really like many people, but I'm not going off of my pessimistic views, you know. I'm genuinely trying to and that is something that I have had to work on in the past is treating someone or looking at someone differently because I know their political perspective is extremely against mine. But as I got older and learned more and have more life experience and shit, just like, why pick and choose? You are responsible for every action you make and everything that you say. And that is something that people need to be held accountable for. And like I said, there is a negative connotation if one of my friends is like a Republican. I will make fun of them. I don't know if I have any Republican friends. I definitely have Republican coworkers and um because they're not my immediate friend, of course I'm not going to go make fun of them. But if they do start talking to me about politics, I am going to be a little more probably heated to debate rather than if I knew they were Democratic, perhaps. Because this has happened before, which sucks because, like, the environment I'm in, like, I like everyone for the most part, but I'm also not gonna stand for people just being, like, shitty people for no reason and then acting all Christian and godly. Um, I think that, unfortunately, as much as I am a huge fan of multiple different like perspectives and everything, just the history and culture and philosophy and everything behind like religion in general, I feel like there's such a negative association personally with Christianity and Christians that I have dealt with, particularly like certain groups like Pentecostal. Unfortunately, that is a big one. A lot of people I know grew up Pentecostal. And like it kind of fucked them up, man. Like some people don't give it just sucks because that's something I also feel deeply about too, but Okay, we're not on a religion question. We need to go on to question 9. Question 9 of 16. Which of these statements best describes your opinion about the United States? The US stands above all other countries in the world. The US is one of the greatest countries in the world, along with some others, and there are other countries that are better than the US. Okay, it definitely does not stand above all other countries in the world because we don't fucking have healthcare and a lot of other amenities. But, you know, I wouldn't say uh I don't know. I think there are a lot of other countries that are better than the US. Um, but I also do like, mm, yeah, no, I'm gonna go with there are countries that are better than the US. I don't really feel a sense of nationalism for America, maybe because just my perception of like American culture and ways that it has been perceived to me in certain situations make me not want to identify with the crazy shit they are saying. So if I could just like put my ass on a plane or a boat or some shit, go over to Amsterdam and just like live over there, or like go somewhere in India or some shit, like Japan. There's so many fucking places that I would go instead of here if I could. And like, don't get me wrong, like I'm thankful to be in as privileged of a position as I am to have, been born in this country. But I also, if had given the choice, and there were like, if I just like would want to give up, if I just came into like a bunch of money and could like move to like Japan or some shit, I probably would. If I could move to like realistically, if I end up moving in my life, it's probably going to be within the country. But I wouldn't say that the US is necessarily one of the greatest because we have a lot of fucking problems. Um I think in terms of like size of like military and shit, that is like comparably like with the numbers bigger than all of the other countries, but that doesn't mean it's any better just because you've got more. Like I'm totally like I'm sorry, but I don't want to have the most legal. I'm sorry, don't get me wrong, but I am not a war lover. I don't want to have the most lethal military in the world. That's that's a lot to unpack right there. And I'm sure that is something we'll get into in the upcoming future. But no, I don't want to be known from being from a country that everyone's scared of and like doesn't want to fuck with. And this country also has like been fucking with other people's foreign affairs to like, aid in their own things. And just making life harder on other fucking people. So no, I don't really think that the US is better than any other country. Um sorry that I'm not uh, you know, full red, white, and blue American, but I think that there's a lot of things that could change. Question 10 of 16. How much of a problem, if any, would you say each of the following are in the country today? People being too easily offended by things other people say. Is it a major problem, minor problem, not a problem? Or people saying things that are very offensive to others? Major problem, minor, or not a problem? Okay. I think um I think that people do get too easily offended with some things. I would say it's a minor problem. Um but I would say there are a lot of fucking hateful people out there too that say offensive things and they shouldn't. So I would say that's definitely a major problem. I think a lot of people need to be more self-aware of what they're saying and the actions they're taking and just like how they're existing in the environment they're in and the impact they have on it because like not ever first of all, with the being easily offended thing, not everything is that deep. Just because someone makes some kind of shitty joke, like that shouldn't like yeah, that's really shitty that they made like a racist joke, but like I'm going to explain to them why the fuck that's not okay. Um and why they really shouldn't be doing that shit. And if they continue to be that way, then like I just, you know, keep my own distance, I guess. That wasn't very good. I'll probably cut that part out. I think some people can be too easily offended, but um someone is going to be offended literally by anything all the time anyway. Everything could be perfect and someone's going to be offended. Um so I'm just going to go on and say it's not a problem actually with people being too easily offended by other things because I feel like that is going to be something in human nature feeling like someone telling you like you're different than me and you're inferior to me for whatever reasons is like shitty and people shouldn't be saying that and having a negative reaction to that is like normal. And I think people that say the shitty things are the problem. Maybe they should like get a hold of their own ideas, I guess. um I just think a lot of people could be more kinder than they really are. It really is the small things. And if you don't notice the small things in your life, maybe you should start paying attention and see if there is something you can do that may be slightly improvable for someone else. Just even smiling at people, or even thanking people when they open the door, holding the door open for someone else. um just genuinely being kind and treating people with a more upbeat and positive attitude automatically, I think should be how people approach the world. But unfortunately, I know that the world is not perfect and it is not like that. Question 11 of 16. When which comes closer to your view of candidates for political office? Either if neither is exactly right. I usually feel like A, there is at least one candidate who shares most of my views, or B, none of the candidates represent my views well. This is a hard one because this election year, this is an interesting one. I feel like my political views are a lot more left and radical and you know more empathetic towards people and a lot of the candidates like I said earlier, like I don't want the most lethal fucking army. And a lot of candidates and just like the political spectrum itself is such a nationalistic like lifestyle. Um, and I feel like you should be doing it for change. And I think there are lot more things that could be changed and a lot of things that could be done differently or, not done at all or done more of. So I am gonna say that I feel like none of the candidates represent my views well. I feel like the only person I have really in my lifetime um associated with very closely was Bernie Sanders. That was a crazy ass time that like because I wasn't old enough to vote during that election. But that election was incredibly impactful on who I have become as a person and my viewpoint on the world, and I still am, for the most part, back in Bernie up. But anyway, question 11, the answer is none of the candidates represent my views well. Question 12 of 16. In general, how much do white people benefit from advantages in society that black people do not have? A great deal. White people want to say that they're not privileged, and then, like, you are, bitch. It's just that simple. Um, yeah, no, I'm not even gonna spend time on this one. Absolutely. Like, I still think that there is a uh, shitty way that, white people are benefiting from taking advantage of black society. So, in general, a fucking great deal. They do benefit from the society, when black people do not have them, because for whatever reason that impacts, their own budgets and shit. Um, Unfortunately, I hate to say it, I think a lot of people, at least older generations, are somewhat slightly racist and don't understand that, like, the position of being born as a white person is just completely different experience than growing up as a black person. And, like, that doesn't mean like one's better than the other or anything, but I think that, like, black communities need to have much more resources and, like, so I'm gonna say a great deal on that. Question 13 of 16. Do you think oh god, okay. Whew. Let me take a drink, because this is gonna be one that I'm definitely gonna get very passionate about, because this is right up in my alley. So, before I get heated, I'm gonna take a drink. I'm also gonna hit this bowl, man. Sparkling, ring the bell, sweet sour cells, all Caroline. All right. I've been enlightened by a small green herb. Back to question 13. Do you think greater social acceptance of people who are transgender, parenthesis, people who identify as a gender that is different from the sex they are assigned at birth, parenthesis, is A, good for society, or sorry, A, very good for society, B, somewhat good for society, C, neither good nor bad for society, D, oh fuck, sorry, I have a notification. Really, well, it's not a notification. I had just, it's 4 o'clock, so now I gotta take medicine. So, BRB. BRB, I say, as a soy. Question 13. Do you think greater social acceptance of people who are transgender is very good for society, somewhat good, and neither good nor bad, somewhat bad, or very bad? I don't think social acceptance. I this is just, I think greater social acceptance of people who are transgender is very good for the society, and that is something that I am willing to debate people on. Because if people are young and they are trans, just figuring out that there is a word for how they are feeling is such a life-changing like experience because it's on the path of like figuring yourself out, you know? And I think the more we are negative about everything, like I I don't get the whole and like I don't know. I feel very strongly about the social acceptance of people who are transgender. This something this is actually a topic that I have been activist for somewhat in the past. In my community, it was a few years back now, but in my community, I worked under a therapist and I was using her office as a meeting place for a support group for queer kids in my community. And like, bitch, I threw a Christmas party one time. There are like 23 kids. And you do not understand how badly these kids need to be told that they are okay to be who they are. And that's still something I wish that I could do. Unfortunately, circumstances have changed and the venue has changed, and it's something I would love to get back into. It's something that I can link you guys to. Uh, I'll go on and put it on record. It's called Shades of Love. I think we started in 2017, and it was only about like, I don't know, a year or two ago now that we've had to stop. Um, Unfortunately, because everything recently was coming out of my own pocket, and I can hardly feed myself, so I didn't like have the capacity to like, you know, keep feeding and like driving and like getting all these kids and everything and helping out because I was like drowning myself, you know. But if I could get that back together again sometime, I would love to because there does need to be a greater social acceptance of people who are trans. And this is a topic that I probably will come back to a lot because I have been in a relationship for the last 6 years of my life with a trans man. and he is my favorite person in the whole world, and I love him, and I don't know what my life would be like if he hasn't been here with me through everything. And just as his partner, seeing the pain and hardships that he deals with, has dealt with, and like continues to deal with every day, puts a whole greater perspective on the issue. Um, you don't have to worry. Like it's just, if you know, you know, there's this, I don't even know how to explain it, but unfortunately it's a terrible fucking feeling. Um, when it feels like people think it should be very bad to socially accept people who are trans. I think you're transphobic. I think you're uneducated. I think you're ignorant. And I think you need to particularly learn more about this topic from not only reliable sources, but firsthand sources, and speak to a real trans person. Maybe like have some empathy and see what they do and what they think and how their life is right now, because you don't realize the advantages you have, because you just are not going through the same experience as they are. And there is nothing good comes from not accepting queer people, because queer people have always been around. They're always going to be around, and just being against queer people in general is ridiculous. Like, it's 2024, man. If you still have a problem with queer people, with transgender people, I think what your problem is you should probably educate yourself more. Or, like, come talk to me. I'll send you some resources. Because I think if people look into the topic, like I said, from a scholarly kind of research section and experience, and genuinely understanding um aspects of what people like this go through, uh you'd be fucking surprised, honestly. Maybe you'd feel like a shitty person for being transphobic. um Hopefully you do. If you're transphobic, I hope you feel shitty for being transphobic, because that is something you can change, bitch. You weren't born transphobic. You are choosing actively to be a cunt. So let's anyway move on to question 14. Question 14 of 16. Overall, would you say people who are convicted of question 14 of 16. Overall, would you say people who are convicted of crimes in this country serve A, too much time in prison, B, too little time in prison, or C, about the right amount of time in prison? This is a topic I am going to straight up and say, straight up go on and say, I am not as educated as I should be on. Um, I think that there is probably too much time in prison. I think that the criminal like justice system is the formats that we have in place right now in our political systems and governments and prisons and everything like that is inherently racist. Like I said, like abolish that shit, let's start again, kind of thing. But like, I think that I have a lot. Okay, I'm going to say I think that it is too little, or no, I'm sorry. I'm going to say too much time. I think overall, people who are convicted of crimes in this country serve too much time. However, I do want to touch on something, because I feel like this question, I am giving this answer because I know the circumstances of how like inherently racist and biased the like institutions can be. So that's why I am saying too much time in prison. But it's so fucking crazy because like it varies state to state, like, and like this is fucked up, but like I have a personal experience of someone in my life who was incredibly important to me was murdered And I like I don't even know just how to explain my feelings on that. That's a lot to unpack, but it angers me in some kind of it is a very selfish way that it angers me because I have been staying updated on the case and everything. And these people, because these people are not getting the, I want to say, like, fuck them, go to hell. But, like, sorry, this is hard. Um, there is just, like, this somewhat, like, I think, selfish part of me that, like, would like to see these people spend the rest of their lives in prison, because what they did was fucked. I can't even begin to explain um my feelings on this situation. Uh and it comes from a personal point of resentment. But I am a strong believer of change. I think people can change. I think people are more open to change than people realize. I think people are more open-minded than they realize. And whenever they have like crazy radical leftist ideas like free healthcare, I don't know why the fuck we're made out to seem like like bitch basic human right. Like shouldn't it be a basic human right? And if you don't agree, like what the fuck? Like I don't even know what to tell. Like fuck you, man. I don't know. Like that. But I am going to say, I think because the way the system is set up, people probably spend too much time in prison. And I want to be able to say that they spend too little time in prison, but that would be that selfish part of me that is taking my singular experience, my singular shitty experience and taking it too deeply. Um, because like I do believe in rehabilitation and rehab. I believe in people getting help and people understanding the world around them more and themselves figuring themselves out because you can't function in a world if your hierarchy of like basic needs aren't being met, you know what I mean? But I'm going to say probably too much time in prison. Which of the following question 15 of 16. Which of the following statements comes closest to your views? A. Religion should be kept separate from government policies, or B. Governments should support government policy. Which of the following statements comes closest to your view? A. Religion should be kept separate from government policies, and B. Government policies should support religious values and beliefs. Religion should be separate from government, particularly, especially in the United States of America. As we were discussing earlier, we are literally a mixing pot built on different cultures and different societies and different people, and facing the government, in which who's assumingly in this point over the whole region, the whole country. Bitch, not everyone is a Christian. I'm sorry, but I think it is ridiculous to try and teach the Bible in school. I think if you want to go learn about the Bible, you can go to Bible school on Sunday, but we shouldn't be bringing it into public school because ultimately, the Bible, looking at it, like, it's a book of myths, is what it is. And, like, that comes with its own layer of unpackaging. And just because something is a myth doesn't take away from, like, it being meaningful, you know what I mean? But I've seen an article, and I hope to God it's not real, but I seen something about a state wanting to like require like a course on like something to do with the Bible and like what the fuck? Not everyone is of the same belief. So I definitely believe that religion should be kept government. Should sorry, I definitely believe that religion should be kept separate from government and policies. So, yeah, I believe that religion should be kept separate from government policies. Last question. Ooh, we're going into a little bit of overtime here. Ooh, okay. Question 16 of 16. In the future, do you think A, US policies should try to keep it so America is the only military superpower? Okay, and B, it would be acceptable if another country became as militarily powerful as the US. Okay, so because of the nationalism that goes across America and just the fear of other people and differences, um, and ignorance of not understanding, like, we're all fucking human, um, I think it would be acceptable for another country to become as militarily powerful as the US. However, I think the US would try and take that as a personal, like, target and be like, oh my God, like, I was the one at the top of the playground and now it's you. And I think like they would do as like the US likes to do, go in and fuck shit up. And really don't give a fuck, honestly. Like I said earlier, like military and like lethalness and anything actively, um, like working towards harm of other human beings just doesn't sit right with me. But yeah, uh, I I would just say that it would be acceptable if another country became as militarily powerful as the US, but I think Americans would take it personally and be offended, and then like the world would go to shit as if it's not already. But it'd get worse. Well, honestly, I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't. I have no idea. But I don't think that we should be fucking on the top of anything. I think someone needs to maybe tell our ass what to do and hold our hand so we can get our shit together as a country. And like maybe get some basic amenities and like healthcare and like affordable housing and like be able to like eat dinner every day. Just basic shit. So yeah, so I'm gonna click my answer now. I'm gonna submit this last answer to this last question, and we are going to see what my political typology is. Your best fit is outsider left, along with the 10% of the public. Okay, let's see. Outsider left are the youngest typology group. They hold liberal views on most issues, particularly on issues of racial equality and immigration, and overwhelmingly vote Democratic. Okay, yeah, true. They are more skeptical of government performance than other Democratic oriented groups, though far less than the GOP oriented groups. While they aren't particularly happy with the Democratic Party, they also have deeply negative views of the GOP. Though nearly half of the outsider left describe their own political views as liberal, about 3 in 10 identify as Democrats. About half say they are independents who lead towards the Democratic Party. Yeah, I would say that's pretty accurate to me. The outside left is evidently 10% of the public, only 8% of registered voters, and 9% of 2020 voters. The distinguishing feature the distinguishing features are young, dissatisfied with parties, and liberal on most issues. I can read more about the outsider left in the Center's typology report. Wow, okay. So we've got an answer now, huh? Wow. Outsider left, lukewarm towards Democrats, cold towards Republicans. Yeah, um, fair. Yeah, that's a very fair does this go over each question? Wow. Outsider liberal, but skeptical of Democrats and the federal government. But well, like I said though, like the government should have more like sh- I would rather have a bigger government with more resources than a smaller government where everyone's trying to like fend for themselves. Outsider lefts are the youngest political typology group. 4 in 10 are under the age of 30 and 83% are under 50. They are ethnically and racially diverse. About half, 49%, are white, 20% are Hispanic, 15% are black, and 10% are Asian. Women make up 57% of this group. Outsider left also have somewhat less formal education in the establishment liberal. Outsider left Outsider left also has somewhat less formal education than some of the establishments of liberals and the progressive left. 35% have a college degree. 2 in 10 members of the group are either a full-time or part-time student. Um, Full-time is 14%, part-time is 6%, similar to the share of students in the progressive left and the higher than shares in any other group. About half of the outsider left, 55%, say that their personal finances are only fair or poor shape, a somewhat higher share than the public as a whole. However, nearly half, 48%, expect their financial situation to get better a year from now, compared to 35 of the public who say this. Oh, this. I said that as if there was supposed to be something after this. Sorry. Sorry about the way that I speak. Outsider left are one Outsider left is one of the least religiously affiliated groups, along with the progressive left. About 51% are religiously unaffiliated. Outsider left are less likely to attend religious services regularly or say that practicing their religion is one of the most important things in their life compared to all US citizens. Oh, US adults. Wow, okay. I think that about says it. Um, wow. Oh shit. Okay, I'm looking at the this percentage. Oh man. Well, I wouldn't say government is wasteful and ineffective. I don't necessarily agree with that. Um, I don't know. I This is just very interesting to me. Oh, outsider lefts evidently are less likely than others to vote and don't follow closely to politics. I um definitely follow the political spectrum and what's going on in the world. That is something that I am very for the most part, I try to keep up with what's going on. Wow. Outsider left don't feel quite at home in the Democratic Party. Although their political values place them decently on the left side of the political spectrum, they overwhelmingly vote Democratic when facing a choice between Democratic and Republican candidates. They don't feel particularly well represented by the Democratic Party. Just say that 53% say that the Democratic Party represents them in at least 8 and 9 or more Democratic oriented groups. And an overwhelming majority, 86%, say that they feel usually like none of the candidates for public office represents their views well. Yeah. Um wow, that kind of is surprising to me that that they evidently are supposed to be like less involved in politics and what's going on and everything. I think I follow closely to politics. But I guess I'm probably just in that majority with that. But yeah, I hope that you enjoyed listening to me spiral down this shit show of the political typology quiz. Um, you have helped me discover that I am number 8, outsider left. Young, liberal, and discontented Democrats. Somewhat. Um, very interesting. Cool. Uh, very interesting. Wow. Okay, very interesting. Wow. That was a lot to unpack. And there's still more that I have to say and like want to say about like almost every topic that we talked about. But hopefully the things that I said I wasn't extremely well educated on. Hopefully that is something that I educate myself on in the future and we can come back to those topics for sure. I am always willing to discuss politics with people, however, in my life. Not necessarily over the internet too much, but like I would like to be more involved in like my community's like uh system and maybe see if there's some way that I could like help push along some change, but who knows? Uh wow, okay, we're definitely going on a little long here, but that's okay. I knew this one would go on long. So this isn't necessarily a normal episode. Sorry that we don't have the normal reoccurring things. We'll have it next episode. And I hope this will be coming out to you. It'll probably be out in October, but I want it to be up for November for when um the political showdown, the smackdown takes over and election day and shit. And I'm sure I'll probably film a podcast after that talking about how that however that will go. So thanks for hanging out with me. I hope that you had a fun time listening to me spew insanity. I hope that you have a safe rest of your day, and I hope that you will come check me out in my next episode. That's, huh. Okay, that's not a really good way to end it. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. Uh, Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. Thanks for listening to me ramble about shit. Some of it I am very passionate about. Some of it I definitely need to follow up on and learn more about. But this is the outsider left signing out.